Roxanne, a young orphan, has caught the interest of Duc de Guiche. While hurriedly preparing to attend a play with him, she informs her chaperone Marie that she cannot marry him. She has no feelings for him whatsoever. Marie, however, believes love does not pay the bills. Besides, they are deep in debt, and he seems to be the only way out. During the carriage ride with de Guiche, Roxanne begins a heartfelt song about love, expressing her longing to be truly seen and loved. Upon arriving at the theater, Christian, a newly recruited soldier, spots Roxanne in the carriage and falls for her at first sight. He quickly realizes she is far above his station, but that does not stop him from following her into the bustling theater. When their eyes finally meet, it is as if they are the only two people in the room. The connection between them is undeniable. Unfortunately, Christian's bag is stolen, forcing him to chase after the thief and breaking his connection with Roxanne. Meanwhile, the audience chants for the play to begin, erupting in cheers as it starts. The famous actor Montfleury takes the stage to great excitement, but his performance is soon interrupted by Cyrano, a poet and skilled swordsman who finds his acting unbearable. Cyrano declares Montfleury has lost his authenticity and orders him off the stage, amusing Roxanne. When Montfleury refuses, Cyrano challenges him to a duel, but the actor is too afraid to fight. Turning to the crowd, Cyrano dares anyone to defend Montfleury, but no one steps forward. Intimidated, Montfleury flees. As the theater manager moves to close the play, Valvert, de Guiche, insults Cyrano, mocking his appearance. Cyrano, no stranger to insults about his size, accepts the challenge. His superior swordsmanship easily defeats Valvert, but Valvert refuses to accept defeat. He attempts to stab Cyrano from behind, but Roxanne's loud warning allows Cyrano to counter just in time. Valvert ends up stabbed instead, leaving the audience in stunned silence. On the way home, de Guiche is displeased, but Roxanne defends Cyrano. When de Guiche asks if she knows him personally, she reveals Cyrano is her oldest friend. He warns her to end the friendship, reminding her he won't wait forever. That night, Cyrano's friend Lebre wonders if Cyrano's passionate performance was driven by love for a certain someone. Cyrano finally admits he has loved Roxanne for as long as he can remember, ever since their days in their hometown. When Lebre asks if he has confessed, Cyrano refuses. He believes he is unworthy of her beauty and perfection, fearing she would leave him if he reveals his feelings. Though he loves her desperately, he has resigned himself to loving her from afar. Lebre urges him to tell her the truth, but they are interrupted by Marie, who delivers a message. Roxanne wishes to meet Cyrano privately the next day. He suggests Ragueneau's bakery as the venue, and Marie sets the time for 7 o'clock before leaving. On his way home, Cyrano is ambushed by a group of men determined to silence him. A fierce battle ensues as he fights them off alone. Cyrano's skillful swordsmanship allows him to defeat all his attackers, sparing no one. The next morning, he visits Ragueneau and requests a private space. Ragueneau agrees, but asks for Cyrano's help with a love poem. In the chamber, Cyrano offers suggestions, leaving Ragueneau excited. While waiting for Roxanne, Cyrano writes a heartfelt love letter, pouring out his emotions. He is so lost in his writing that Roxanne and Marie's arrival startles him. As Marie leaves them alone, Cyrano quickly hides the letter. Roxanne notices his injury and begins tending to it. She then confesses she has fallen in love with someone she saw at the theater. Cyrano's heart leaps, hoping she means him, but he is crushed when she reveals it is Christian. Having learned Christian is a new recruit, Roxanne asks Cyrano to befriend and protect him. She also wants to exchange love letters with Christian. Though heartbroken, Cyrano cannot refuse her and agrees to speak to Christian. De Guiche visits Cyrano, offering him a place in his retinue, but Cyrano declines. Afterward, Lebret warns that rejecting de Guiche could make him a dangerous enemy. Cyrano, furious at the idea of being treated like a puppet, refuses outright. His anger makes Lebret realize that Roxanne does not love him, deepening Cyrano's sadness. Meanwhile, Christian, as a new recruit, is challenged by the other guards but surprisingly defeats them all. Eager for another challenger, he calls for more opponents, prompting Cyrano to accept since he's looking for a medium to let out his frustration. However, upon learning Christian is the man Roxanne loves, Cyrano embraces him instead, revealing that he is her friend before walking away. Stunned, Christian follows Cyrano and is overjoyed to learn Roxanne loves him too. Cyrano explains that he must send her love letters, but Christian isn't happy about this. While fearless in battle, he is hopeless with women. Cyrano, not wanting Roxanne to be disappointed, convinces Christian to use his words. Though Christian sees it as deception, Cyrano urges him to think of it as a dream, one that lets him keep the woman he loves. Handing Christian the letter he wrote earlier, Cyrano tells him to sign his name. Christian is grateful and rushes off to deliver the letter, but Cyrano is left heartbroken. Christian slips the letter under Roxanne's door, and she is captivated by the words, falling even harder for him. She eagerly writes back, and over the next few days, they exchange letters. Roxanne sings out her heart about finding love at last, unaware that Cyrano is the true author. She is enchanted by Christian's words and tells Cyrano she knows every letter by heart. She has fallen so deeply that she now wants a private meeting with Christian. Cyrano, unable to hide his jealousy, struggles with his emotions, and Roxanne quickly notices. Cyrano quickly deflects, prompting Roxanne to praise him as a great poet, though more reserved than the expressive Christian. She asks him to arrange a private meeting with Christian, and despite his heartbreak, Cyrano agrees because he can never refuse her. The next day, De Guiche visits Roxanne, announcing his promotion to colonel and his departure for war that night. When he mentions taking the guards, she is heartbroken, making him suspicious. She quickly covers by claiming it's his departure that upsets her. Determined to keep Christian from going, she pretends to have severed ties with Cyrano and suggests De Guiche leave Cyrano and his guards behind to wound his pride. De Guiche is intrigued and asks if this is her way of showing affection for him. She confirms it, leading him to profess his love. When he considers staying behind, Roxanne subtly manipulates him, saying she admires a man who doesn't cower in battle. Eager to impress her, he commits to going to war, kissing her fingers before leaving the room. Cyrano informs Christian about the meeting and offers prepared scripts, but Christian, confident that Roxanne loves him, refuses. He insists on speaking to her in his own words, thanking Cyrano for his help so far. However, the meeting quickly turns disastrous, as Christian struggles to express himself, failing to match the depth of the letters. Roxanne is greatly disappointed and storms off, singing about her longing for something more, overwhelmed by the moment. Watching from the shadows, Cyrano steps forward and Christian pleads for help, desperate not to lose her. Hesitant at first, Cyrano eventually agrees. Positioning Christian beneath Roxanne's window, Cyrano hides behind a pillar, whispering lines for him to repeat. Though his words begin to captivate Roxanne, Christian struggles to keep up, making his speech sound awkward and hesitant. With no other choice, Cyrano speaks to Roxanne directly from the shadows, while Christian hides, ensuring she doesn't notice the deception. His words flow effortlessly, and Roxanne, enchanted, responds with declarations of love. In the safety of the darkness, Cyrano pours out his true feelings, expressing his deepest fears and undying devotion. They sing in perfect harmony, lost in the moment, until Christian suddenly blurts out a request for a kiss. Roxanne, overwhelmed by the beauty of their supposed exchange, invites him to claim it. Though Cyrano is devastated, he urges Christian to go to her. As they share a passionate kiss, Cyrano is left heartbroken. On his way out, he encounters a priest seeking directions to Roxanne's apartment. Cyrano leads the priest to Roxanne's, and it turns out that De Guiche has sent him to officiate their marriage before he departs for battle. De Guiche, hoping for a passionate night with Roxanne, believes that if she refuses, it means she wants him without the formality of marriage. Roxanne feels emotional after reading his letter and shows it to Cyrano. When the priest asks about its contents, she cleverly pretends to read aloud, falsely stating that De Guiche has given his blessing for her to marry Christian. Shocked, Cyrano urges her to reconsider, warning that De Guiche is on the way. But Roxanne insists, pleading with Cyrano to stall De Guiche while she rushes the wedding. As the wedding ceremony begins, De Guiche also starts walking to Roxanne's, singing in determination to have a taste of her. When he finally arrives, eager to see Roxanne, he is devastated to find the ceremony just concluded. Heartbroken and furious, he storms out, only to find Cyrano in the hallway. He expresses his heartbreak and declares himself done with love. Now cold and vengeful, he re-enters the room, ordering Christian to report for battle with the guards immediately. Roxanne is heartbroken and becomes emotional upon hearing this. Cyrano urges Christian to leave immediately, prompting Christian to envelop Roxanne in a passionate kiss, assuring her that he will return before departing. As Cyrano follows, Roxanne calls out, asking him to promise that Christian will write to her. Cyrano gives his word, before leaving as well. For several months at the war camp, Cyrano takes great risks to ensure Roxanne receives letters from Christian every day, much to Lebret's dismay. Afterwards, Lebret receives a letter from De Guiche, written in honor of the king, ordering the guards to head into battle. He shows it to Cyrano, who immediately recognizes that De Guiche intends to have him silenced, sending them to the front lines despite their clear disadvantage. With the guards already starving, Cyrano resigns himself to the idea that it is better to pass away in battle. He embraces Lebret, who then instructs the messenger boy to collect the soldiers' final letters to send to their families, knowing they may not return. Christian asks to see the last letter Cyrano has written and is surprised to find a teardrop on the page. Cyrano dismisses it as a poet's sentiment, but Christian realizes the truth that Cyrano is in love with Roxanne. Though Cyrano tries to deny it, Christian is convinced. When he learns that Cyrano has been sending letters to Roxanne daily, he grows upset and nearly strikes Cyrano but restrains himself, storming off instead. Cyrano stops him, insisting they continue the facade, but Christian is done pretending. Sinking to the ground, he admits that Roxanne doesn't truly love him. He reveals that her last letter said she loves him for his soul. Cyrano is his soul, because it is Cyrano's words she cherishes. Determined to tell her the truth, Christian urges Cyrano to confess, but Cyrano refuses, claiming that someone like him could never be with a woman as beautiful as Roxanne. Christian disagrees, insisting that she should be the one to decide. He refuses to stay in a relationship built on deception, believing it is better to be loved for who he truly is, or not at all. Resolving to sacrifice himself, Christian runs toward the front lines of battle, charging over the mountains, and is struck by gunfire, much to Cyrano's horror. Cyrano pulls Christian to a safe corner, tearfully urging him to stay alive. But Christian, with his final breath, insists that Cyrano tell Roxanne everything before he slips away. Heartbroken, Cyrano cries out in anguish. Before rushing to join the guards in battle, he gently slips the last letter into Christian's jacket. As he runs, an arrow strikes him, but with sheer determination, he struggles to his feet and pushes forward with the guards. 3 years later, Cyrano's health has deteriorated from the injuries he sustained in the war, compounded by a lack of proper care and food. Yet, every week, he makes his way to the convent, where Roxanne remains in mourning, visiting her to share the latest news from town. Despite countless attempts, he has never been able to confess the truth, though he has written it in many different ways. On his way to his usual visit, he suffers an attack and collapses. Though delayed, he eventually arrives at the convent, where Roxanne is relieved to see him. As they talk, he begins reminiscing about the first time they met, bringing a smile to her face. Cyrano shares the week's news before asking to read the last letter Roxanne received from Christian, reminding her of her promise to let him see it. After a moment, she hands it to him, and he begins reading aloud. Midway through, Cyrano folds the letter and continues reciting the words from memory. Roxanne watches in shock, slowly realizing the truth that he has been the one behind the letters all along. Though Cyrano insists it was Christian who loved her, she questions why he is revealing this after so many years. It becomes clear that this is his final day, and he suddenly collapses, making Roxanne rush to him in alarm. Through a heartfelt song, she pleads for him to stay, and in that moment, Cyrano finally expresses his true feelings in harmony with hers. Overcome with emotion, Roxanne admits she feels the same and refuses to lose him again, leading them into a passionate kiss. She realizes she has always loved Cyrano, not just his words, but his mind, soul, and heart. Unfortunately, he has clung to his pride for too long, letting it stand in the way of his happiness. In this deeply emotional moment, Cyrano draws his final breath, passing away in her arms. Roxanne is shattered, crying out in anguish as she rests her head against his chest, mourning the love they lost too soon.